Hello and welcome to another GigaBoots Spoilercast review. I'm your host, Dan Video Games, and we are doing another Spoilercast review of a video game adaptation. We like to take this podcast network and follow it wherever video games go, even if that's the irradiated lands. With me is Bob.
Video games?
Chris Wolfhard.
McDonald's!
And Dr. Aggro.
He's a fighting robot.
This week we watched Secret Level. Last week we at least watched Castlevania Nocturne Season 2, a real adaptation of a salient product into a salient product. Secret Level, for people who are unaware, is the Amazon series. What was it, Paramount co-funded or Columbia? I can't remember. Oh, it was MGM because they bought MGM.
Oh.
Co-production to do 15 episodes of various lengths.
And various qualities.
And various qualities of 15 different video games. To run them down real quick, we started with D&D. We got Warhammer. You might notice something about these two. I'm trying to think. Those were the only two that were board games, right? Or tabletop games.
I wouldn't even count Warhammer because it has the guy from Space Marine 2 at the end.
That's true. They did make it
specifically Space
into
Marine 2.
a hook into the game based on the tabletop thing.
But it's like, it's not a video game. I'm sorry. It's a franchise with a video game in it.
Right, yeah. It's a broader origin point with a video game in it.
I mean, PlayStation isn't a video game
I
either.
know. That was the
Oh.
third one. Thank you. Because, yes, they did not adapt a video game for that one. That is for certain. Let me explain. You don't need to know what this is. This is going to be a great podcast. Because while these are stunning attempts at making fiction, they are remarkable in this space because the sheer amount of things that had me outright confused afterwards. There were revelations during it, revelations at the conclusion of individual episodes, and revelations after the episodes. If you've never listened to one of our Spoilercast review before, what we do is we say a couple sentences summarizing our thoughts on, oh my god, all 15 of these, I guess. And then we make a guttural sound to let you know instinctively, bestially, what we feel inside. Our carnal heart? ? No. Our human soul. What it screams out when exposed to this for the sake of recording this. And then we're going to get into a bunch of specific things we noted about the experience. Cross-compare notes of where we were coming from and how long we felt the Crossfire episode went. And then at the very end, we will give it a score each, 1 out of 10, making it a Famitsu 40, possibly. They might just do it this time. All 40 points.
They'd have to move me into a bigger house.
We're going to go ahead and start with Dr. Aggro.
The Secret Level project is a long, dark night punctuated with spots of brilliant and calming light that just makes you feel gross.
Bob Video Games.
Possibly the most soulless collection of shorts you will ever see. Ugh.
Chris Wolfhard.
Perhaps part of the reason the entire industry is going all in on AI is because you can look at things like this and look at generative AI and go, what's the fucking difference? Ugh.
I'm convinced this is mostly generative AI. At least on a script level for some of these.
I used to work in a grocery store. Secret Level feels like the customer I saw check out with the most bizarre combination of groceries I could never imagine a dish coming out of. Following them home, seeing them completely fuck up the idea of a meal, and then afterward do a magic show that was a nightmare. What? That sound, by the way, that's the sound.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, just real quick, I want to get one specific anecdote in. You know what? No, let's just jump to episode 15, which was called Playtime: Fulfillment.
Do we have to start with playtime?
We do, because afterwards I found out the Buddy Bot is played by Kevin Hart.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How?
so many layers. I thought I was done.
Like, I understand America doesn't have a government anymore. Like, that they did when this came out. And I don't understand how the FTC and FCC are not like, that's a fucking commercial. You are presenting a 10-minute long commercial as this episode of a TV show. We take umbrage with that. It is a commercial. It is identical to any one of those dick-sucking Sony CG commercials, big expensive ones they put out sometimes.
Here's the thing, though. It's not because this is literally by far the worst of them ever. There is no one of those as bad as this pile of shit.
It is like, it's literally an old one they did, but just the evil version. Like, it sucks in every way possible.
Because it needed to be of a length where words must be said to prop it up. A lot of those commercials barely have words in them.
Right.
So you get the visuals, the action sequence, and then it's done in a minute, at most a minute and a half. This 12, I believe.
Yeah, no, it's super long, and it has only their newest IPs because Jim Ryan was still there when they made this.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is designed to be the thing you're describing it as, and it fails. This thing is Ready Player One in miniature. This soulless corporate ejaculation. This is masturbation without the cause of arousal or the goal of orgasm.
Yeah, this is like masturbating in 1984, where Big Brother has literally lobotomized you to no longer feel sexual release or arousal. Like, you're just doing it to do it.
Yeah, that's fair. No, that's really, really fair. And this is episode 15. This is how the whole series ends, listener.
Yeah. Not that they had many opportunities to end this on a high note. Not that shuffling the order would have changed things too much.
Yeah. I feel like there are definitely higher notes to end on. My most amusing experience was watching someone get really pissed off at the Pac-Man episode. And then I'm like, don't worry, the Mega Man episode is really going to piss us off. It's going to make that look pale. And the way the Mega Man episode pissed us off is it started setting up to do something, and then it ended at 6 minutes.
Yeah. It's not even 6 minutes long, Dan. When you remove the credits in that intro, it is 4:50.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Insane.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I've never been surf sharked that fast.
A very common occurrence for me watching through this series was I'd be watching and I'd be like, okay, there's still a pretty big chunk of that progress bar left. Something else is going to happen. And it's like, oh, right, there's a 3.5 minute credit sequence to these things that are very often less than 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Mega Man one was the most obscene because, one,
yeah, that's the shortest one.
Out of everything in this, it's one of the better ones. It's not amazing, but it's one of the better ones by far. And then it just ends after it sets up what should have been the premise for the episode.
It's one of the only ones that's like a classic gaming IP just done is itself.
Right. They didn't change the storyline like they did with Pac-Man. They were very direct, and the animation style wasn't hyper-realism like almost every last one of these, but Sifu and Pac-Man. It's a lot to deal with, honestly, as a Mega Man fan, to be like, oh, it wasn't terrible because it was some rancid homunculus like the Pac-Man episode. It was terrible because it was one of the sort of good ones that it ends so quickly. Amazing, honestly. Did a single human on Earth get anything out of the Crossfire episode?
I watched it twice. And if you put a gun to my head, I can't tell you a single thing that happened in it.
So you're telling me you weren't enraptured, you weren't involved?
You weren't
didn't
caught
get
up?
caught up in?
a slightly lesser version of this was the Odyssey episode, which is based on something that doesn't fucking exist yet and probably never will, considering how the industry's going.
I love getting to talk about stuff like this in a podcast format because I know I'm the only human who's going to bring this energy of there is so much similarity between the Exodus: Odyssey episode 11 of Secret Level, and the hyperbolic time chamber videos on YouTube where it's like really crudely narrated. We started talking about it like it was an AI that read a Wikipedia page to you.
Yeah,
turned
no.
into a YouTube video. That isn't how you tell a story.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's literally they got a collection of Destiny lore cards. And they read those over an animation that was happening.
Exodus was so limp that I was like, you could change the file name on server side to say it's Starfield, and nobody would be able to call you on it.
Yeah, it's that was the worst one. That was the worst one by far, and that's impressive in this collection of terrible things.
I'm trying to think if I think that's the worst one. It's definitely
I
up
mean, no,
there.
Playtime's the worst one.
Yes, Playtime is the worst one.
Playtime is way more evil. I still think this was the worst one.
Exodus, how do I put? So the only mechanical idea in the fiction of Exodus is: did you know time dilation, space travel, and time dilation? Did you know relativity exists?
Bro, if you're going up against Gunbuster, you better not.
In the middle of this thing, I realized like, oh, time's dilating, and she's getting older. That's a thing. I guess we're only focusing on the fact that time dilation is happening on his end.
Yeah, which was very bizarre for me because I'm like, did she just never once travel?
Unclear.
Did they not cover that? I mean, the Wikipedia narrator really may have skipped some important paragraphs in the article. Really,
I mean, it was
bizarre.
an AI summarizing something, so yeah, I probably got a lot of stuff wrong.
I thought that if people are okay for moving on from Exodus, which I feel like
Yes, please.
the Armored Core 6 one, the universe, the world, the way it's depicted, very on brand. But I find it very funny that they've taken what is the mechanic of the Armored Core 6 main character, twisted it to make the voice in his head almost Johnny Silverhand, and it's cyberpunk, and the main character's now Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's like
It's a weird choice.
it is a very bizarre maneuver, and I was like, that is Keanu. That's Keanu. Why are you cyberpunk? We're cyberpunk. You see this too, right? It's very interesting. It's one of the more faithful out of all of these, weirdly. It's weird to be faithful to Armored Core in the year 2025 to me.
And also, it's specifically just 6. It's so strange.
It's so specifically 6.
Well,
yes.
this whole show is just transparently commercials for stuff, and like I really am curious when it was originally supposed to come out, because there's no way it wasn't supposed to come out at least before Concord, considering the Concord episode is the prequel to Concord.
Well, here's the thing. In Concord, they set up the story of this. Like, it's literally like, these are the legendary guys that leaked. Oh my God, I hate the science here. So there's space travel on Concord, and when you're traveling at certain speeds, you're traveling against the prediction of what that space will be. And the thing that these people leaked to the entire net is the permanently good routes for trade.
Yes.
In a universe where everything's slowly moving, somehow they will know an asteroid will never be right here forever. That's what they leak.
It's very stupid.
As Bob was saying during us watching it, very possible that this came out approximate to Concord when it was supposed to prop up season 2, because the end of this is like those characters survived possibly.
Right, and you really want to play as them. So yeah, this is our advertisement for season 2.
Oh my God. And that's so likely it hurts.
Honestly, which is why it's weird that this was honestly one of the better ones.
Yeah,
it was.
It depressingly was.
right?
If for no, this is the only one that looked like realistic, that didn't just make me go, you did that wrong. You did it wrong. Like, I hate my head is the wrong sizeman from the Outer Worlds one.
Yes.
And I really fucking hate the gnome wizard from the Dungeons and Dragons one. The gnome one.
I mean, that's just how gnomes be. I don't know what to tell you.
This is Gnomist.
And the way these realistic ones look really sells the whole thing as being a commercial. Like, it's this level of VFX that just looks like it belongs in a commercial. Like, it's not good enough for a movie, but it is good enough for this 5-minute long episode that is a commercial.
Yeah, it looks like it looks like they just use Unreal Engine 5, and I was talking about maybe these are just what metahumans look like. Like, I don't know. It's possible.
For people who don't know, metahumans is the Unreal Engine 5 character creator thing that allows you to create hyper-realistic humans. So yeah, that's really possible, especially if you grafted a metahuman's head onto a gnome body.
Right?
It feels like, or any of these bodies, like, you know, the Outer World guy that Chris is talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think Concord was one of the better ones. Real quick, I wanted to just say on Crossfire, the entire Crossfire episode was basically a campaign level of a battlefield, but none of the excitement of playing it and none of the intrigue of a setting that places this in real world with real stakes. So it's like watching a younger sibling play a multiplayer game for a really long time, and no one's especially good at it. It was a miserable experience.
It was very similar to watching paint dry.
I think I would have more fun. There would be something a lot more zen about watching paint dry.
It's true.
Especially if I could smell the fumes and let it kill my brain.
The fact that Crossfire and Honor of Kings
Yeah.
are both like, guys, these franchises don't exist in English speaking territories. Like, they are non-existent. Crossfire is the biggest thing in the world in Asian territories and in Russia, you know, because it's a very low fidelity PC game. It's kind of like their Counter-Strike. Nobody in the Anglosphere, as they say, knows what the fuck this is.
No, it's true. They tried to fix that with Remedy making a campaign, and it still didn't work because that campaign bombed.
And yeah, now you can't even play it anymore.
Oh. But yeah, they do that, and they don't even try and introduce like the new audience to what this world might be and what might make it interesting. Instead, they're just like, yeah, let's do a bunch of generic action scenes you could see in any movie in the last 10 years.
And
like,
that's the thing that makes the Honor of King ones so much better than this.
Yes, I think that is the best one.
Because while
the Honor of Kings one,
we in the Anglosphere have no attachment to either. At least one of these has to do with humanity itself. Themes of loss and the idea of will and things like that. That's interesting. Crossfire? Did you know some people are rich in shitbags? And we have to protect them from money sometimes? I don't know.
I'd like it's the thing they were going for was, you know, it's a thing that can be interesting. It's a worthwhile topic to explore. You had 15 minutes and this is a commercial.
Uh-huh. No, it do be mobile a mobile game ad short film.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all of this. It is funny. I did watch The Outer Worlds, and I'm like, why is this The Outer Worlds? Shouldn't you be Avowed? I'm so confused because I forgot The Outer Worlds 2 was happening.
No, one of these franchises have a future.
Because it's owned by people who try harder on their IPs than Microsoft. Because I think the publisher on Outer World 2 is still the original.
No, it's not Microsoft. Yeah, it's still the original.
So yeah, they care a little bit more than Microsoft does about Avowed, which is not surprising.
I mean, Microsoft or Microsoft is smarter than anybody who works on any of the IPs in this, because we know that people are like, "Can you give us Halo and Doom?" And they went, "No."
I think that's more of a reticence to do anything ever.
In this case, it worked out.
Yeah, Luigi wins by doing nothing. With the Outer Worlds, though, I haven't played the game. Bob, you haven't either, right?
No.
This just convinced me of what I started thinking about while playing Avowed, that it's the Outer Worlds is just going to be Borderlands adjacent and not Fallout adjacent. It's going to feel like if Borderlands had no good loot. Because Avowed feels like the Skyrim version of a Borderlands with no good loot.
Jesus.
And so I'm just watching this as it does the funny, what was it? Like everyone in the room thought that character seemed like Mom for Futurama.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, she straight up.
Oh yeah.
That's the bit.
And I'm like, that character is in the Outer World where, hey, like, I'm pretty sure I've seen them in imagery and stuff for that game. Is that game humor leaning into the Borderlands tier? And I just didn't know because I didn't play it.
No, but the Outer Worlds is very much like Fallout. If every single text log and thing in the entire game was like, I just worked an 18-hour shift and got $1. That's every single text log in the Outer Worlds.
Do you ever enter a room with 6 of them in a row like we did in Avowed?
Yes, sometimes.
That's great.
They call that environmental storytelling around here.
They do. I don't know how to feel about the Outer Worlds one and ranking it among these 15 because we really have hit the depths of terrible, horrible ideas told poorly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Outer Worlds one was honestly probably upper half in the grand scheme of this.
Yeah, like it wasn't great. It wasn't that bad. Like I kind of want to go through the whole list and go like, is this one of the better ones or one of the worst ones, and just separate this out for posterity.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. Real quick, let's just do, because I thought this would help us in a conversation about 15 different things. Best episode, worst episode, and we'll start with worst. Bob,
Yeah, it was Exodus. Absolutely.
Chris,
Yeah, Exodus.
Aggro.
You're all insane. It was playtime.
I'm also gonna have to go with
Oh,
Playtime.
I already forgot that playtime. Like in the middle of this conversation, I forgot playtime.
Yeah, because it,
I'm like,
it doesn't
that's
go
not a
with
real
anything
one.
else
That's
we're
a
looking
commercial.
Yeah, no, it really.
I'm changing my answer to playtime.
It doesn't have. Whereas Exodus is some rambling moron, possibly an AI, narrating a Wikipedia article that is factually incorrect and incohesive, and visuals to accompany that. Playtime just has Kevin Hart as a robot saying a bunch of things that are like, oh, you're in the service industry, you know, it's the gig economy, you gotta keep delivering, it's so fun, I'm gamifying your delivery. And then the rest of it is, what if video game characters chased you? And then we had the scene from Roger Rabbit where, you know, main guy falls and then there's the 2 stars, except for here it's just Sackboy's there. And then he isn't. And here's Shadow of the Colossus. You remember Shadow of the Colossus?
And then she grows PlayStation blue wings, and I throw up in my mouth.
And then they called a weird squid monster a conduit, and I'm like, how did no one say no to that? How did you own Infamous? The word conduit is an important proper noun in that? How did no one go call it something else?
They forgot about that. They forgot about anything that wasn't in the last few years.
Well,
I mean,
I think it's
really
funny because go ahead. You go ahead.
I think it's really messed up that they just replaced Killzone dudes like Hellghast with Helldivers.
Yeah, no, it was really funny because it's like, this role doesn't make any sense for Helldivers, but it's not like the Kratos role makes any sense for Kratos.
No, none of the roles make any sense for
It
anybody.
would make infinitely more sense for the menacing soldiers that are chasing our main character to be Hellghast, or I believe, yes, Hellghast is the name of the race. Helgen is the name of the planet, I believe.
Right.
Even though I always think it's the reverse. Instead, we get the Helldivers guys who just go, democracy? That's our thing. And then she bikes away. It's truly rancid. This is like
the whole thing in its execution is disgusting. And so it's almost not worth nitpicking weird structural problems, but I'm going to do that anyway because I'm mad at it. When the Helldivers are approaching her, they're like, give us the conduit. And she's like, bet, I would like to do that. And they're like, give us the conduit. She's like, please help me give you the conduit. And then she's fleeing. And there wasn't anything that happened in the middle there that made that make sense.
And then at the end of it, they go, we just like to have fun. Want to go again? And they have this guy named Johnny. And I'm like, Johnny should have been played by Troy Baker. What are we doing here? It should have.
He pulled the hood down. I'm like, I'm in my mid-30s. Is that some streamer I should know?
Oh boy. That would have been
No,
something.
he's Lucio in Overwatch.
You're kidding, right?
No.
Oh.
Like the voice actor's Lucia from Overwatch?
Yes.
That's pretty funny.
What a weird pull.
I mean, he's been in a lot of other stuff. That's just the most notable thing.
See, here's the thing. You can't bring up Lucio at Overwatch without me just thinking of all the times I read half of his line and then despaired because I'm playing competitive Overwatch of like, look at this team. We're going to die. This comp is terrible. Okay, let's go to best episode. Bob, what is the best episode of Secret Level?
Mega Man. Mostly because it just ended. It was shorter than the rest, and that hurt it, but also was good because the whole product as a whole was shorter.
There was one that was kind of close. It was like half a minute longer. I think it was Spelunky.
Yeah, Spelunky was was the next shortest one.
But that one was unbearable because it was just like, what about roguelikes? Roguelikes.
I think there's 3 different one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That are like, what, you die in a game and come back? Wouldn't it be fucked up if that was real?
Yeah, it's really weird how many things were that. And one of them was the New World, and I don't know why. Isn't that an MMO?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's literally the lore of the MMO because everybody who plays that game lives in Eastern Europe.
I genuinely don't know. But yeah, by the time you hit Spelunky, you've seen that exact sort of writing at least twice, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's also in the Pac-Man one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, more broadly, yes, because it's the book ending of it. But Mega Man's the best, Bob?
Yeah.
Aggro?
I think it's probably the Armored Core one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But
I understand.
Before we go too much farther.
Sure, yeah.
A problem with almost all of these. They're too dark. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I kept
even the Armored Core one's like, I can't see anything.
I kept telling Bob, I'm like, this is modern
CG's
streaming.
really hard.
Yeah, CG's really hard.
Expensive, and we don't really have that much money.
and modern streaming shows, for some reason, are all going really dark. It started with House of Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
And late Game of Thrones. For some reason, that's the new thing. It was very funny. I watched this YouTube channel called Digital Trends, and they had a viewer write in who's like, all the dark streaming shows I watch break up and look blocky. What can I do? And he's like, you need a TV with a newer image processor in order to help counter that. God. I wish this wasn't the case. There is no solution other than that. And I'm like, wow, we're in the darkest timeline. Literally. So Aggro, did you want to elaborate on Armored Core as your pick?
I mean, honestly, it was just the one that it wasn't offensive to the source material. It had a story from beginning to end. It was tight. It had good action. That was a quality little piece of animation.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely, among these, it is among the 4 I actually liked it all. Even slightly. Its main character and its core theming is true to the universe itself. Like, countless characters in the pantheon of Armored Core are just shitheads who think they're in a league of their own and unlike anyone else. They're loners, they're cool.
It's weird to make that the main character. That doesn't play to me, but at the same time, yes, you're right. That totally would be a guy.
That is several guys. That might have been 9-ball a couple times.
Yeah,
They're all later like, I'm built different. Yeah, you're all constructed with competing proprietary technology. You are literally built different. Shut the fuck up.
Like, who is that dude that was always like in text logs and just a total loser in 6? Like, that's who it feels like this is actually
Snail?
about. Was he Snail? I thought Snail was the big, like, the guy who was actually in charge of that enemy group.
Are you talking about the fuckboy who got nothing done and just was pissy all the time?
Are you talking about Johnny Young Bosch?
Yes, I believe that was Johnny Young Bosch's character.
I forget his name. Iguazu?
Yes.
Yeah, Iguazu, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is Iguazu. I don't know why Iguazu is now Keanu Reeves and has the protagonist infection in him.
I think it's great. It is weird for the protagonist infection from Armored Core 6 to be in anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
That part's weird. But the main character being who he is pretty cool. Chris, what is your favorite? What do you think? Let me rephrase this. What do you think is the best episode they made here?
Now, I can't give it to Mega Man for an external reason, but it's still a reason.
Uh-huh.
I'm fucking scared they're as stupid as Namco and are making some kind of game based on it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the reason I was going to bring up of Mega Man literally looks like if Tracer had a son.
He does, but the biggest problem is me being deathly afraid that Capcom is very, very stupid. I thought the Honor of Kings one was the most interesting. It broke the structure of every other episode, which is brief intro, comedy or action montage, brief ending, jarring jump to credits. And it was the most visually interesting one to me. So yeah, I'm going to say Honor of Kings was my favorite one.
It's really close for me. Mega Man was upsetting how it literally stopped the moment it would have done a thing.
Yeah, what was even the fucking point?
To be like, this is Mega Man's origins.
To reassure people that this isn't a completely AstroTurf series of commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly enough, I think the one that I think contributes the most to this package in the bizarre, what the hell is going on? Did this really happen? I'll give best to Armored Core 6. But the New World episode is unreal because that is actually Arnold Schwarzenegger playing a Conan the Barbarian style preppy king who ends up on the shores of an island.
Don
where
Quixote.
Yeah. He can't die here. So he keeps trying to take over the kingdom, but it turns out where he came from, everyone intentionally lost him because he was of royal blood. And that was incredibly amusing. There are a lot of good gags that landed for me in that. And it feels like there was a point to it at all, whereas so many of these, I feel like there is literally no point.
That was one of the more coherent ones, and I must admit I did enjoy him just being the Giga Chad. Like, they just...
Yeah.
He's just the Giga Chad.
Yeah, no, it's deeply, deeply amusing. And... yeah, the Armored Core 6 one's probably the best because, again, Mega Man really upset me with the fact that it just ended. I was like, no, you did the setup. It's like you played an intro for a series you never made. What the hell? But yeah, I'm gonna have to say, though not the best one, it is worth showcasing New World because deeply amusing, very good comedy chops. Me and everyone else in the room thought it was an Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonator the entire time.
Yeah, I double checked.
And then afterwards went, wait a minute.
Yeah, he did seem way too good. It was like, but that they couldn't have got him though.
Right. And then the Kevin Hart thing was crazy because, of course, I didn't notice the fucking robot's Kevin Hart.
Yeah, who cares?
It's only afterwards that you go, oh, it's Kevin Hart. They actually got three celebrities to show up in this. That's so bizarre.
These are some fake ass Kevin Hart fans. I knew it immediately.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. We have Schwarzenegger,
Keanu Reeves and Kevin Hart. What are you trying to say?
I'm just saying Kevin Hart is not even remotely in the same universe.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? You want to start something? Name one movie that had Schwarzenegger or Keanu Reeves in it and came out last year. Because I can name one for Kevin Hart, Borderlands.
Fair.
Wrecked.
Huge commercial success. Everyone's going to see Borderlands talking about Kevin Hart's incredible role in it.
Now, Bob, I know you yourself are the editor, but editor, can you cut in a League of Legends shut down sound effect to go over that moment? Thank you.
I'm not doing that.
Aside from that, I find it really amusing that, Bob and I famously, we got a thumbnail to do Giving Games a Chance, Unreal Championship 2, the Leandri conflict, forever ago. And then we found out that series was going to be poisoned because Giving Games a Chance translates to people who found it on the internet. It's time for you to like my game, and if you think anything other than hyper positivity, I'm going to hate you. So we stopped that series to do any other framing of that sort of idea ever. The Unreal Tournament episode is about the Leandri conflict.
Yeah, but somehow way lamer than the box art for Unreal Tournament or Championship, the Leandri conflict.
The Unreal Tournament one is the one that felt the most like just AI generated to me. Where it's just like, this is so stock in every way.
They're like, here's how it feels. They go, okay, well, the plot of Unreal Tournament is that they're doing these fights because of this conflict, at least in 3, I believe, and possibly even in that one. I have no idea. And then someone went, oh, I've seen a movie that's that. I can write the same story beats and then forget to develop really good characters to go in any of these slots.
Or any characters in any of the slots, yeah.
Yeah. No, there are no characters in this. There are archetypes of characters, but they didn't do anything other than I'm the nerd guy, and they're fucking all of our IPs. And they forgot to have someone say in English to the guy for some reason. They forgot that scene.
I don't know why they even made this without that scene.
Me neither. There was a part, though, which Bob pointed it out because I was sadly looking down briefly to write my few notes about this. So I had to rewind it to watch. There was a part, Aggro, where you could have caught it. I don't think Chris is brain damaged enough. A character does the epic Unreal Engine 3 tech demo for the PS3 in 2005 sideways flip while firing a rocket move. But it's shot slightly different. It's a very cool moment. Very big shout out. We should have narrated some other episode with Jetson Wong going, she's so beautiful. You could almost fall in love with her. And then it would have been the ultimate throwback series to 2005 for weird guys who watch E3 conferences.
Did anyone else play Sifu?
Like the game?
Yeah, the game.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played a bit of it.
Okay.
Yeah, all of us played it.
Okay. Just checking. That Sifu one is literally just at level 2, but worse. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, man, this dude sucks. Like, he got to the fuck, like, he got taken to the ropes on boss 2. His ass ain't making it 3 more levels.
Yeah. The Sifu one was the most pointless. Like, why would you make... Sifu is designed to look cool. Why are you making a Sifu animation?
Because the studio that made Sifu got a lot of interest from Hollywood and is like, we gotta take every single deal we can get.
I mean, yeah, like, fair to him. Get that bag.
right? But yeah, it kind of just astonished me. It was like, man, you took one of the coolest levels in that game and kind of made it lame. Like, they took out all the coolest moments from it, and then you didn't even show the boss. It was a weird choice.
Well, yeah, they can't show you the really cool thing. You need to buy the game.
Yeah, so many of these, like, end right before cool thing.
I'm going to go ahead and say the D&D episode didn't.
Like, the D&D episode, like, okay, speaking as someone who has fought Tiamat with a level 20 party,
Yeah.
those guys were about to get TPK'd round 1.
Yes, they were.
Like, that camera cut right before those guys got rolled.
They're like, hey, I guess we found our cleric, and they're dead within 6 seconds.
Hard cut to Dead Gnome.
Yeah, of all the shorts that was confounding, the D&D one was, and you know, it's the first episode. It freshly vexed me in a way that others didn't get to, because the whole time I'm thinking about, yeah, there was that D&D movie that came out that no one watched that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is really not getting the core of what I find enjoyable about the setting of D&D, possibly because it doesn't have time to do anything other than surface level. But I don't believe that. You could have made it one encounter and wrote it really well.
Yeah. Like, they had time to do something. I feel like Hasbro is probably brain dead
Yes.
and don't seem to understand that, like, any D&D thing, at least tonally, must have the spirit of, there's a bunch of geeks behind the curtain controlling this. That's what Dungeons and Dragons is. You can't make it a sweeping epic. That's not what you made. That's not your IP. It has to have a little bit of the slapstick type energy to it. And this kind of tried, but then it has like the monk teleporting around punching guys, and then them about to get killed at the end, and I'm like,
I mean, it did have what I at its core, at my core, wanted from a D&D short form animation, which was there were a bunch of recognizable monsters, moves, and spells that I could point at the screen and go, hey, I know what that is.
So then why wasn't this your favorite episode?
Honestly, it was kind of close. I really liked it.
Anyway, I just want to use this as a platform to be like, hey, genuinely, maybe go check out that recent D&D film. That was like 2023, right? Yeah, go watch it. If you're listening to this right now, maybe consider watching that. That's a pretty enjoyable film. Thank you. If my platform is useful for nothing else, you went and watched 400 versus 1 Crazy Samurai. Might I recommend a good movie this time? Also, it was us getting used to the fact that none of these would be visible, largely.
Yeah, that
they
one
would be
was
so dark.
one of the darkest ones. Yeah, they just lived with it.
When we inevitably upgrade the GigaBoots TV in order to have the brighter things, so that way 6th-gen games aren't complete darkness. Like, because we went through Breakdown recently, and it was yet again, I can't fucking see anything. I could turn off every light in the room, and we might be able to see something. I need to revisit some of these to see if... Does it help?
Mm-hmm.
Does it do anything? No? Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, they didn't render anything in that darkness.
The funny thing is, this is Dolby Vision. It had Dolby Atmos, and I'm just like, really? Monorail is a lot more the pace of this. You could have just had one audio channel. Monorail. That's how you say that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank
No
you.
one's going to question us, so just go with it.
I don't think most people have seen the word before because we're in 2025, so I think I'm safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that Simpsons episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conan sings his famous Monorail song. I think we've talked about every episode to an extent that I think is the baseline of what we should do. Except
No, we haven't.
Except Pac-Man at all.
Except for Pac-Man. We haven't really detailed Pac-Man in the least.
The Pac-Man one is only bad because the context it was created in makes it super fucking gross. That animation was a penny arcade parody
Yes!
of what the Pac-Man
Yeah.
movie would be.
That's literally what I was screaming the whole time. I'm like, this is a 2007 webcomic.
Yeah. No, that's
Why-
the energy of this. It's
Why
just
did they
insane.
spend that much money animating Tycho and Gabe's fucking comic?
Which makes it even more bizarre that Bamco was allegedly working on this game since 2020.
Yeah. That's insane.
I can't wait for that thing to come out and
Oh
sell
my
3
God.
copies.
Bomberman Zero Ass.
One of them is to us, so we could go live on Friday with it.
Yeah, I can't believe that this is a real game they're making. Like, that's insane.
That's so fucking stupid.
And it's not something that they just make in 2 years and like is complete trash. How could they spend 4 years on this? 5 years on this?
I mean, we have to look. Just talking about the animated short, we have to respect game. They renamed Pac-Man to Puck, which not only makes it the original name, but also Puck. Huh? That's clever. The layers.
It's not.
Clever.
It's
Thank you, Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, come on. You think Scott Pilgrim knows who Puck is?
It's so awesome that they just called this Pac-Man, but that game is not called Pac-Man anywhere in it. It's called Shadow Labyrinth with a teeny tiny Pac-Man in the O of Shadow Labyrinth. So nobody is going to know it has anything to do with Pac-Man,
Yeah.
and it will surely sell worse than almost any other game this year.
Yeah, we're going to have to literally make it a part of the marketing of us going live with it to explain that it is Pac-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Because one, people already forgot. I already forgot the name they gave it. I just remembered it didn't have Pac-Man in the title. And two, aside from the sting of seeing that in the middle of the Game Awards, there was no long-term effects for anyone. No one remembered it.
Right.
It's gone.
I guarantee that if I asked people, do you know what Shadow Labyrinth is? They go, no.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a Metroidvania using the Unreal Engine. Was it at the end of 7th gen?
That might have been something I played on the Genesis.
The-
I don't know.
The demo.
That's what you play Shadowrun in.
The Shadow Labyrinth. I like when they kept saying, you must be hungry. Because it's Pac-Man and he eats.
Honestly, if you pull all of the Pac-Man out of this, that was a cool little thing. Like the whole ending sequence was really neat. The idea of an entire planet designed to be like a jungle death prison for this robot devourer beast is really cool. And then you turned it into this.
I feel like my ability to objectively judge the coolness of the subject matter is ruined by the fact this is a penny arcade comic. Does Mike Krahulik know?
like,
Did anyone tell Jerry Holkins?
yeah, I don't know. It's insane. Like, I can't divest it. It's you did this to Pac-Man. It isn't you made a thing and called it Pac-Man. No, you did this to Pac-Man. You are a criminal. This is Bomberman X-Zero. We are no longer in 2006. How did this happen?
The funny thing, and it's worth noting, Bomberman Act Zero is literally just a conversion of the text of the manual for Bomberman. So Bomberman had in it originally the text for what is Bomberman Act Zero. Pac-Man did not as far as I know, in any implementation, iteration, documentation, have the universe explanation that is this short.
Also, what was really weird was that this got super gory.
Oh, yeah.
Like
piles of blood. And
piles of blood. The main
organs
dude
and-
eating everything. Like,
yeah.
really graphically, too. Like, I was surprised that they went with this.
Yeah,
Like-
this was straight up old school edgy.
Uh-huh. Yeah, one might say it was edgy for around 2007 on the internet at Penny Arcade.
When are we going to snackify drinks again? Come
When
on.
are we snackifying these drinks? Wouldn't you like to see us go live on Friday and have to try a new snackified drink or a drinkified snack?
What's the point? Like, you gave the ending of your thing away in this episode, Bamco. Like, are you aware?
If I remember the trailer for the game enough, it's different enough from this in the structure where I don't think the ending would be the same. In the
I mean,
trailer,
that was
they
a
already
failed
show... Right, exactly. We're going to be the run that wins, obviously.
Right.
We're going to get out and trap Puck inside. We're going to trap the fuck man. That is... We have covered every episode.
No, we did not hit Honor of Kings the way of all things.
I talked about it a bit, but if you want to talk about it more, absolutely go ahead.
I don't remember it being mentioned, the one where the guy's playing Go against the robot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chris was saying that was like his favorite.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I
okay. I
appreciate
I
that.
completely missed you saying that. Yeah, no, that one was really great.
No, it was brief. We said a couple sentences and then moved on. I appreciated the fact that it was a theme about anything, free will, dealing with grief, et cetera, et cetera. That's interesting. I noticed out of the 15 episodes, it might be the only one that remembered to do that at all.
Yeah, it's kind of the only one that has a cogent story that anyone will remember ever.
It feels like one of the only ones that you can point at and say it was about something.
I agree, and I don't mean like thematically. I mean in the broader, it was about anything.
In Chris's mind, the Wikipedia plot summaries for all of these are one sentence long, except for Honor of Kings.
I will appreciate this animation forever for bringing up a computer entity that goes, oh yeah, the universe is deterministic and I can use a near omniscient amount of data to predict the future perfectly, and then doesn't just go nuh-uh because I don't like the way that makes me feel.
The part that is the worst part of the Honor of King ones is the fact it's an ad for a game.
Yeah, like I watching the whole thing, I was like, man, this isn't what the game is at all. I'm sure
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
MOBA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
It's a phone MOBA.
Well, see, I assume this is a prequel story-wise to the game, where they're explaining how they cut themselves off from the control of the robot God King in order to now be a land that can fight for the future.
maybe.
And that's how it's a MOBA. And it's terrible. And
No, it was literally a commercial for just a new character in the...
This is their Overwatch CGI! Wow.
Yes, that character that plays Go is the new character.
Oh, could you imagine? Could you imagine Overwatch 2 had an episode and it was for some completely flat character that everyone's like, bro, what are we doing here?
Yeah, this
would have been
thing would have been
perfect.
elevated by having that. Yeah.
It would have been.
Like,
we're
I-
here to announce Lucio 2.
Yeah, you could announce Lucio 2 and it would be better than most of these animations.
Mostly because that context would have made it funnier, whereas the Honor of Kings context made me just feel gross enjoying it a little.
I am shocked that there wasn't a Blizzard thing somewhere in this season. Maybe in season 2, which has already been greenlit.
Oh,
Are you serious?
Oh no, yeah, it was almost immediately greenlit. It's just a fucking commercial. Cost them nothing to make it. The fucking studio shelled out for it.
Holy, wow.
man.
That's wow. I didn't really hear anyone watch this other than the Mega Man fans who,
Right.
yeah.
Man.
Yeah, no, it was greenlit literally like 2 days later.
So do you think we're going to get a sequel to the Mega Man one?
No, I don't expect to get a sequel to any of these. I expect it to be all entirely different things.
I feel like Mega Man's the only one I could see a sequel happening for because they barely did anything.
They didn't do anything. Maybe that one was like the last one that got approved, so they didn't have any fucking time.
You have to wonder what the reason for that was.
God, this is making me think of how I watched Star Wars Visions 2 recently.
That's
I went through that being like, man, this is bad compared to the first season. I'm like, wow, this is incredible compared to Secret Level. Like each of those has its own, like a real animation studio with an idea. An art style too to go with it. Like that's more than any of these have, basically.
Yeah, like I thought of Star Wars Visions a bunch, and like a lot of those episodes were not that long. Most of them are longer than this, like than any of the ones in this. But it's like people are going to think about and draw Lop forever. If you found one of the game journalists that strained so much credulity to be positive on the Secret Level project and put a gun to their head, I do not believe they'd be able to tell you shit about any of these shorts anymore because they watched it 3 months ago.
Meanwhile, I get the awesome context for The Outer Worlds, a game I'm now determined to play. I get the awesome context for
Obsidian
Shadow
Month.
Labyrinth. Obsidian Month, yay! Bob, aren't you excited?
Oh, not after Avowed, Jesus.
Yeah, no. I feel like just between those two things, I get to carry context forward. And really, for Concord, I think we got something out of this for that. Even it added an extra layer of what was their plan. Was this a teaser for season 2 characters? Because listening to them talk about it, this would have lined up relatively near season 2 launching.
Mm-hmm.
Was that their plan? The crew reemerging?
Would that have been hype?
God, they all suck so bad.
They suck way less than original Concord.
Do they? I think
They
they're
did.
about equivalent.
The whole time thinking like, wow, these guys are fine. Where were they?
Yeah, I kind of stared at it and I was like, I don't remember the axolotl fish person being a member of Concord, but I think the rest of these were because they were similar enough.
They are all close enough. Like they just felt like slightly different flavors of characters that were already in the game. I was like,
So frankly, I'll take it just to get an injection of axolotl into the main cast. That, sure.
God, it's so sad that was one of the better ones. And at the same time, it's like, I'm glad Concord is the biggest bomb in industry history. Good. Die.
I mean, it's already having positive effects on Sony's internals.
right.
They stopped Blue Point from making a live service game. Concord had to die. It should have died sooner. Now, that may sound cruel. You might be like, but the devs who worked on it, and frankly, I think you need to understand the industry a little bit better. There's much higher chance that many people who worked on it agree with me.
Yeah.
Listen. You can acknowledge that some people rely on an abusive institution and still acknowledge that it is for the betterment of all that institution die.
Yeah. Another layer of this, like I often hear from game journalists that like they'll talk to devs off the record and the devs will agree with their reviews that have critiques and things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the fans will get really upset. A weird parallel, in a sense, I've been watching X-Files. And apparently in the commentary track for one of the worst rated episodes of X-Files, the commentary starts with them going, yeah, this is a terrible episode. We did a terrible job.
Every one of those games like Concord, it inevitably comes out like the devs saying, yeah, we knew it was doomed, and we're begging them to pivot for years. And they just wouldn't. Leadership was brain dead.
Anyway, I think we've done a relatively good job of talking about everything, but if there are any final anecdotes, comments, musings, etc., I would love to hear them.
The Unreal thing was so obsessed with being hyper realistic they couldn't even have the guns float in midair.
And also the big people. Like
Yeah.
it didn't have Unreal Tournament 3 proportions.
No, it didn't. It did. I couldn't even recognize those as Unreal Tournament characters.
Yeah, I'm like, that's the black guy with the cigar. He's in the tech demos for Unreal Engine 3, and I'm pretty sure he's in Unreal Tournament 3. And Bob's like, no, that's a human-shaped person. That could have possibly been someone.
yeah, he's literally less than half that dude's muscle mass. I can't
It's
see
true.
him.
That dude's like a fourth that other guy's muscle mass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything there is no level of Unreal Tournament fan you could be to make that episode cool. I don't think there's a way.
Yeah.
I love that the Warhammer episode was the tale as old as time of person makes something really sick out of genuine love and fandom and it blows up, and the suits pick him up to be like, hey, do that again for us so we can use it to sell something. And we're like, yeah, hope he got paid. Fuck that thing you did.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you, Aggro, as someone who knows it all, anything about Warhammer, got anything out of that short.
I mean, yeah, like it was, like I said, it was the guy who made the Astartes animation. So yeah, like, oh, this is really cool. Hey, look, there's Titus.
Cool.
Yeah, a lot of these have visually cool things in them, and then I'm like, okay, it's over now. It's like the cinematic equivalent of cornflakes, but like the original conceit of cornflakes, where it's like they do not inspire any passions. They do not make you have any troubling questions about your betters. You just chew and stare.
What was the goddamn point of the Spelunky one?
Roguelikes.
Right?
Yeah, roguelike.
Like
Yeah.
the moral of the story is play more roguelikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, life.
Ooh.
Okay, if you want to get into it, life is like a roguelike because you learn and you push harder, and even though every day is going to be different, you're going to be more equipped to handle it because of all the shit you've been through, which is the most unbelievably. Like, someone wrote an article about Spelunky in 2012, and that was their takeaway because they needed to make their review of it have something more than everyone else.
Well, you see, they asked ChatGPT what their Spelunky short should be about.
It starts with the older character being like, hey, maybe you shouldn't treat death so lightly, and this is going to have a profound effect on you. And then she keeps going, and then when it's having a profound effect on her, she goes, hey, stop letting this have a profound effect on you, wuss, and get back in there.
Yeah.
Because this is what you need to do. Continue to grind, and maybe one day it will be worth it.
Yep. Very cohesive. This idea. A great through line that definitely builds from the beginning to the end and has a point.
How'd they even manage that? The thing's like 5 minutes long.
I know, right? There's barely anything there, and even then they couldn't retain the thought in their brain long enough to finish the script. I don't know.
Life is an adventure. Young girl crawling away from an undead monster terrified with a shotgun. Like, I don't... Why? Why is this happening? What are you trying to accomplish? Oh, well, you know, I went through it, and I turned out all right, so you have to go through it. Sweetheart, you didn't turn out all right.
Let's see. I didn't read this note here on Exodus where I also described the entire experience as a dying mind half remembers a movie before slipping into darkness. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. The Unreal Tournament thing had the voice clips. That's it. That's the best part of that entire thing.
I cringed.
Double kill, triple kill, kill streak. Ignore that I sound more like the Halo guy. I need a lot more processing to sound like the Unreal Tournament voice. Yeah, that was neat. That's the only thing that I enjoyed in the least. But I'm good. We good to end this, gentlemen?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's time for our summary reviews and scores on a scale of 1 to 10. We're going to go ahead and start with Chris.
I cannot pretend that I had negative feelings towards Secret Level. In fact, I can't pretend I had any feelings at all towards Secret Level. So I guess that comes out at a 4.
You know how when you play a mobile game, sometimes they'll be like, okay, you're out of energy. You have to watch an ad. Now imagine you inverted the ratio and that there were these giant ads and in between were brief moments of respite where you're like, oh, that was kind of neat. Oh, we're back into the ads. That's what watching this felt like. There were a couple neat moments buried in the gross feeling of you being subjected to a mobile game ad. I liked some of it. Very little. I'm gonna have to say, since we're averaging all of these together, I'm also giving it a 4 out of 10. Dr. Aggro.
There is a lot of really cool and worthwhile stuff on display here. But in the context of the fact that I watched this on Amazon Prime and therefore had to watch ads between each of these ads, and that sort of elevated the advertising experience, I'm not saying the cool stuff isn't worth the damage constantly rubbing callous slop against your soul does to you in the long term. But on balance, it's not a good thing for.
And Bob.
These shorts are so bad, they'll gaslight you into thinking the ones that are mediocre are mediocre. They aren't even that. They're all below mediocre. Can we rate a 0? Is a 0 allowed?
Let me look at our
Done it
entire.
before.
I'm looking at our entire history of Spoilercast to see if it's been done in the Spoilercast series before. Bob, you gave Pentavert a 0.
This is also a 0. This was miserable. There is nothing good about it. They should never make more of it. It's a crime.
You didn't have to look at Mike Myers' testicles.
That's true. That's the only advantage. That's the only way it's better than Pentaveret.
And yet, it still is down there for Bob.
Somehow, Mega Man in the second episode they made for season 2 goes outside and Mike Myers is naked doing a Shrek voice for 3 minutes. Bob's like, it made me feel 1. Well, that brings our average score to 3 with the total amount of points at 12. That's very high out of 40. I think they should definitely throw more money in the fire well. I think the fire well's very cool. I'd like to thank you for joining us for the Spoilercast, where we tend to explore all permutations of video games as they end up as series on streaming or other nightmares. Who knows what will shoot us next? This is where I'm going to plug ones you probably didn't even know happened. Did you know they made an adaptation of Monster Hunter and Onimusha for Netflix? Go watch those. We can't have watched it for nothing. This month's executive producers for GigaBoots are Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Cooper Tank, BN12, Rado, and Virvarm. Thank you very much to our executive producers, and also these guys. If you want to become an executive producer or normal patron, you can head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today.